Yo, what is good, guys? It is your boy Wax here, and in this video I'm gonna be showing you guys how to make the menu for your Roblox exploit. So this will just be, I'm pretty sure, the first part out of many. I'll make sure that I do finish this. I will finish this series. The episodes, or at least the parts, should be a day apart, or maybe a little longer depending on what I got going on, but should be a day apart. And in the very first part of the series, I'm gonna just show you guys how you actually make the executor, like how you actually make it look. And then in the second part, I'll show you how you actually make it work. And then in the third part, we'll just be doing fun stuff, like adding maybe like a script list, or like a script hub and stuff like that. So, but just for the first part, we're just going to make the general way that we want our exploit to look. So let's go ahead and start this. So the first thing you want to do is you want to just open up Visual Studio. It doesn't matter what actual like version of Visual Studio you have. Like I have 2022, but you could have any version, but for the sake of this video, I'm gonna use the latest version, which is 2022. And yeah, we're just going to hit create a new project. And in here, this is vital. This is a pretty important step for if you want yours to look like mine. So we're going to go down to WPF-app.net framework, and this is using XAML and C#. So this is what we want to actually click first. And yeah, so make sure it says WPF-app.net framework, and it's got the little C# green logo in the top right. And then you know, XAML is a pretty important part of this process. You can name whatever you want. You can name your project whatever you want. For the sake of this video, I would have named the tutorial, but I want it to be a little something more actually what I would name it. So let's go for something like cheat sense. Just going along the CSGO type of naming scheme, but you know, we're doing this for Roblox. Cheat sense. Let's go ahead and create it. Alright, so now that it's created, there's a few things that you'll see that are different from a regular Windows format right off the bat. You'll realize this little window down here, it is the XAML editor. It's a lot different from probably what you're used to. You're probably used to being able to resize this, but if you try to resize it without clicking it correctly, you know, you're just going to be met with this. What you're actually doing when you're resizing that is you're resizing the grid, which is the over. I'm not really sure why this exists, but it's a grid over your actual form. And actually, scratch that, I do know why this exists. It just makes it easier to actually put buttons and things in a nice place, so they're not like all over the place, and you can actually go ahead and put them like near each other. So this is a grid. You do not really want to mess with the grid for any reason at all. You kind of want to just leave it alone. So for the sake of this video, we are going to be removing this entire backdrop, but we're not going to be deleting it. We're just going to be making it invisible. So let me show you guys how to do that. So the very first thing you want to do is at the very top here, you're going to see that it highlights the outer edge. And I think you may be able to do it at the bottom too. But as long as it is highlighting the entire thing, not just highlighting this inner box, but highlighting the entire outside, you want to click that. So now you're on what is type window. So this is the class that you want to be on, window, and it's got a little window icon right here. You can name this whatever you want, but just for the sake of this video, I'm gonna name it MB for main background. Just makes things a little simpler for me. So let's go ahead and make this thing invisible. So let's go to appearance, and you want to click allows transparency true, meaning that it allows transparency. And what this will do is it'll also set your window style to none. And this is pretty important because you do not want to have that top window bar. Now that we have allows transparency on, we actually need to make it transparent by simply just going to brush, and then where it says background and it's white, go ahead and click this button right here, and that will make it invisible. You can also practice doing that by going down to the foreground and also making that invisible. But the foreground doesn't really need to be invisible. Just for the sake of this video and for the sake of learning it, go ahead and make that invisible too. So now we've got ourselves a blank canvas here. If we started this program up, nothing would show. But one last thing before we head off this window, we're going to actually select it again. right there. So if you click any corner of the window, you will get the window back even if it is fully invisible, and you won't be clicking on the grid. You'll be clicking on the window if you just click in those corners. So now I'm on the window. One last thing I need to do is I need to go to common, and then in common where it says Windows Startup, you want to hit center screen, because then this means that the exploit will show up in the center of their screen, making it a little nicer, a little cleaner in general. And another thing we're going to do is we're going to automatically check topmost. A lot of exploits have a topmost check, so if you don't want it on, you can turn it off. For the sake of this video, I'm gonna have it on by default, just because I do think that topmost does look really nice and it's much easier to use than clicking away and then your exploit going away, especially if you're testing something on Roblox in general. So I do like topmost being checked. You can obviously uncheck this if you don't want it on by default for your exploit, but for my tutorial, I'm going to have it on. So this means that it'll start in the center of your screen and it'll be above everything else no matter what you click, so it can always stay in a good size. Now, another thing is this resize mode. You want to put no resize. You do not want them to be able to resize this exploit, because it is just not really that worth it to create an auto sizer like Synapse has. It's much better to just keep it in the scope of its little window. So we're just going to put no resize for that right now. So as you can see, this is what we want for our main window, and for the most part you can pretty much forget about the actual designing of the main window, because now we're going to create something so we can actually drag the main window. Because if you realize, we put it on for appearance, we put it on window style none. So when window style is on none, you can't actually drag it no matter what you add to the designer here. So what you can actually do to be able to drag it is you would want to, when you're on this page, you click on this little lightning bolt in the top right. So this handles the events, and you scroll down and look for mouse down. So mouse down just means every time you click or hold down on your mouse, something will happen. So let's make that something dragging. So I'm gonna just name it MB_mouse down, because that's the name of my window and that's what the function name is, but you can name it whatever you want. I'm just naming it this just for the sake of kind of being able to find it a lot easier. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So when you do get put in here, there's a few things that you can do. You can change the theme of your syntax or whatever just to make it look nicer for you, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to keep it to the basic syntax, and it's pretty easy to read for me, so I'm going to just keep it like this. So when you're here, to make it draggable, you're going to need an if statement. So we're going to do if e dot left button equals mouse button state dot press. You can also press tab there if it does go ahead and give you a finishing thing. It'll just auto finish if you press tab, but basically when the mouse button state is pressed, meaning like you're pressed down or you're holding down, then we're just gonna make it draggable by literally all you have to do is this dot drag move. And then since this is a function, we do need the two brackets here, or two parentheses and then a semicolon. So this will make your form draggable, and yeah, that's pretty much all we have to do for the main window here. So you can pretty much just click off the main window by clicking any empty spot on the page. Right now I'm just going to close output since kind of clutters the screen a little bit, and we're just going to be focusing mainly on the editor right now. So I'll zoom in on that so it's a lot easier to see and work with. So now we have our editor here. What we want to do is we want to go ahead and put a rectangle into the workspace. So this way we can actually kind of design our form without the grid getting in the way of everything, because it's just a lot easier to work with. So for the most part, you can design this however you want, but I'm going to be going off of just like a general style of how nicer exploits look. Like Synapse is not a good example of a nice looking exploit, just because it is a nice looking executor. It's just not like modern, or as modern as some can be. So we're gonna go ahead and make this somewhat modern, or somewhat rounded and stuff like that. So the first thing I'm gonna do, this will help you guys if you do watch this part of it. If you want to go and just design it alone, that's perfectly fine, but if for those of you who don't know how to use this designer yet, this is probably a pretty important part of the designing process. So I'll go ahead and show you how to do this. So basically, once you've added your rectangle, I just made my rectangle the entire size of the grid, or the entire size of the box, by just pushing it against the edges, and it automatically locks onto the edges, which is pretty cool. So I just did that. So the fill box, it'll automatically be on transparent when you first create your rectangle, but you can click solid color brush, which will just give you a solid color. And I think I'm gonna go for something a little lighter in the outside and then darker on the a little lighter on the inside, darker on the outside. So this will be my main color I'm working with. The stroke, I think I'm going to make it pretty dark. You don't have to have a stroke either. If you don't want like an outer stroke, you can just click no brush and you can completely skip this step. But I'm gonna just make it darker than the inside, but not black. I don't like the color black. It is not. It's too dark for like modern UIs. UIs that are modern usually have lighter versions of colors. So you can use black if you want to, but for the sake of the contrast to this color, I'm gonna make it slightly less dark. We're also gonna make it rounded. Windows that are made in Windows 11 are automatically rounded, but if you want every single version of Windows to be able to see this, so including Windows 10, you want to make this somewhat rounded, just like that. I think I'll make it a little bit less rounded, but just rounded enough so it still looks kind of clean. So there we go. I think I'm gonna make the stroke just a little darker. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like, because it's kind of hard to see with the black outline. As you can see, we can drag it, and okay. So one thing, obviously that stroke is very skinny. You really can't see it. So we'll just go to appearance, and in appearance there is a stroke thickness little I don't know what you would call this value. I'm gonna make that 2. And while that may not seem like a big difference from one, it actually does make all the difference. So yeah, that looks a lot more defined. That looks a lot better in my opinion. So I do like how this looks so far. So now we're gonna go ahead and add Avalon and our references that we will be using for this video. So I've already added Avalon, so all this stuff is already down here, and I don't really feel like deleting it all. So I'll just show you guys how to do it if none of that stuff was down there. So let's assume that there's nothing down underneath general, and this is completely empty, like it will be for most of you. All you have to do is right click any empty space in the box. So I'm right clicking underneath all this since this is the only empty space, and you want to click choose items. So in the description, I'll actually have this folder references where you can find both of these references. One thing, actually, I'm going to show you guys how you can go ahead and install Katoapi. For those of you who don't already know how to do that, you want to just head over to kato.team. I'll also have the link in the description, and you want to go ahead and download it using this button. It will open ads. Do not worry about them, just close them out. And it is a link for ties, so do not really worry too much about it. It's not too bad. So then you just click continue to Katoapi, and it'll automatically install it. So I'm gonna just have it install into my desktop and then into references. So I'll have it replace this one because there was recently an update where they fixed the injections, so I just had to do that. But for the sake of the video, that also helps. And I'll leave this, you can download Katoapi from there, and I honestly suggest that you do that if this video is older than what it is right now, which is 4/12/2022. So I'd suggest just going to Kato Team and downloading it there, but the references folder will include the current version of it. So let's go ahead and click choose items. So yeah, you do not want to add Katoapi to the toolbox. You want to go ahead and add it later, which I'll show you right after this. The only thing you want to add to the toolbox is this icsharpcode.avalon.edit.dll. Just a quick side note, I didn't actually tell you how I got that menu up, like right after I had shown you like how I got into my files in the first place. All you have to do is click browse when you open up that choose items menu. It should be located in the bottom right. It should be a button that just says browse ... and you should be good. And just hit OK. So obviously nothing was added, or at least it doesn't look like anything was added, but for you it should show all of this now. So once you see all of this, you want to just get this text editor and you want to go ahead and pull it onto your form. So all right, we're gonna go ahead and restart the XAML designer, and I guess it did. So now we can actually add the text editor now, and the text editor is gonna look pretty wonky at first, but do not fret. You pretty much just have to click start, which will basically build your program. And now you can see it is a white text box with scroll wheels. And yeah, so now it is actually working, and it looks like it an actual text editor. So let's go ahead and edit this text editor a little bit. So what I want to do is I want to make this the same color as the outline, so I'll make it nice and dark, and I'm going to go ahead and make the line numbers the same color as the background. All right, so we're also going to do another thing, and that is have no border, and then the foreground we're going to make white so we can actually read the text on this dark background. Another thing we want to do now is we want to go and search up scroll in the little search bar right here, and we want to make the scroll viewer and scroll hover both hidden. Okay, so both of these we want hidden so that you can't see them, because they do look pretty ugly in the grand scheme of things. And then the horizontal and vertical scroll bars are both controlled by this, but we're going to go ahead and put those also to hidden, which should make sure that these don't turn back to visible. So all of these should say hidden. And yeah, so as you can see, we can't see any line numbers, but do not worry about that. We just need to type in line in the search bar, and where it says show line numbers, just go ahead and check that. So it looks like I cannot really see my line numbers, so I'm gonna go ahead and make them a little bit brighter. That's not what I wanted to change. The line numbers color, that's what I want to change. So let me go ahead and go line numbers, make them a little bit lighter, just like that, so I can actually see them. So now it looks just a little bit better, and I can actually see my line numbers. So yeah, now you have your text editor in, but your text editor will not have syntax, meaning you will not see the colors for like local print, quotation marks, stuff like that. So the way that you actually fix that is you could go ahead and right click your program, click view code. If you didn't know, that's how you basically just get to your code. This we got to by pressing enter on the little event handler, but here you just need to right click anywhere, click view code, and you'll be right there. So we need to start using a few things before we actually continue. So the easiest way to do this is just by typing using ic code avalon edit highlighting, because that's what we want. We want syntax highlighting. So we're just going to do isharp highlighting again, and .x, yeah, okay, so xshd, this will make it so it gets the actual highlighting file, and this will make it so it initializes the highlighting. I will have everything in the description, like not the source code, but every part of it that you will need to add to your project in general. So these two things, or the entire using list that we will be using, because there are a few more things we need to add. We also need to add system.xml so we can use XML editors, and we also need to add system.io so we can use basic file finding and research, things like that. So yeah, these things will be put into a I guess like a paste bin or something that I'll have like a link for ties on, just for the sake of revenue, just because I'm giving this guy information to you guys for pretty much free. The only thing that's not free about it is that you have to go through a link for ties, but that is also completely free. So yeah, the next thing you want to do after you add all of the using here, just for the sake of it, we're just going to go ahead and add using Katoapi, just because this does initialize Katoapi. One thing, as you can see, there's a red underline underneath it. We actually need to add it to our project. So right now Katoapi is not added to our project. The way you add it is you anywhere, even if you're in the designer or even if you're in the code, you right click on references, and then on add reference, click that, and now you go to browse and you can add both of these things. Even if you already added this to the toolbox, just go ahead and also add it to the references, just like that. So now that red underline should go away, just like that. And now we can continue with what we need to do. So in this public main window thing here, this initializes everything. This is everything that will happen on the startup of the app. So in here, we want you to have syntax on the startup of the app. So the way that we'll do that is we're gonna go ahead and name this so that it's easier to work with. I'm gonna name mine script holder because that's what it'll be doing. It'll be holding scripts. All right, so now we want to make the script syntax work. So the way that we do this is we go ahead and we type stream and then stream again, and then equals file dot open read, and then in parentheses we need to create a path. So let's go ahead and do that. So the way that we create a path is we do need a file. I don't know if I have it somewhere. I think it might be in here. I'm gonna go ahead and find it. I do have it in here. So yeah, there's a file that I also have in the references. I was a little bit unorganized there and I did not have it in my references to start off, but this will also be in references. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up references. So in references, you'll have these three things for you. Right then I didn't have this just because it wasn't in there, but this will be in there for you guys. So in references, you want to take this Lua XSHD and you want to go ahead and find wherever you put your exploit. I put mine on my desktop, so it's the easiest to find. But if you didn't do that, do not worry. You can literally just go to your search bar and then type in whatever you named it. So since I named mine Cheat Sense, the name of what you named it will be right here. I'm just gonna look up Cheat Sense, and in Cheat Sense you can actually find that there's one in Cheat Sense and then there's one in desktop. It doesn't matter which one of these you click, just as long as you click one of them. So now I'm in Cheat Sense, and since this is on desktop, I can pretty much just open it right here. And let me go ahead and close all this so that I'm just working with the file. Okay, cool. So now we have Cheat Sense. We're gonna go ahead and go into bin, debug, and then you'll see these four things. You're gonna right click this, create a folder, name it bin, and then we are going to add our lua.xhd into there, into the bin. So this should be the only thing in your bin. And then we're going to create let's see, what did I name everything? Okay, so Cheat Sense, bin, debug, bin. Okay, so now we're just pretty much just going to create what we need to do to get to that Lua file. So it's really, you just put dot slash and then bin and then Lua xshd, because this was my directory. If you named bin something different, then that's fine too, just as long as you name it here differently. But I think bin is a perfectly fine name since Synapse uses it for most of their syntax systems anyway. So we did bin slash lua.xshd, and that's basically how we find that file. Now we need to actually use it. So we're going to be using XML now, using the XML text reader, and then that's going to be a new reader. And then we just, you can press tab here too because stream works. And then into the thing that we named our thing. I do not know if I showed this on video because I did have to cut, but I named the actual Avalon editor script holder by just changing the name up here. So yeah. Also, once you do open your code, you don't have to keep clicking view code because you'll have it up here in a different tab, which you can switch to easily. So I named mine script holder, and we're just going to add the syntax highlighting now. So highlighting loader, yep, and then dot load. So this will load the highlighting, load the syntax so that you can actually use it. So highlighting manager dot instance, just like that. So this is how we add our syntax. So if we go ahead and start our program, we will see that we have our syntax editor, and if we type local or if we type print as a function, we can also see that we do have, you know, parentheses, everything works here, everything, even quotation marks, everything like that. But what you will realize if you type putting in like a load string or something, like it will turn into a link. So that's obviously not something we want. It underlines it, it makes it blue, it looks really gross and horrible. We're gonna go ahead and fix that. So that's why we did add these two things up here, the highlighting and the highlighting.xsd, not just because it does load the syntax highlighter, but also because it does load highlighting for different things like highlighting your link text. So the way that you control link text is you use the name of whatever you named your Avalon editor. I called mine script holder, and you pretty much you find the text, and then you do a specific thing called link text background brush. The reason for this is because we are going to be editing link text specifically. So let's go ahead and make that transparent. We don't want them to see a background on the link text. If you do want them to see a background on the link text, you could pretty much change this to blue or whatever you want it to, but we don't want to see a background on the link text. So we're going to go ahead and accept that, because what we're doing now is we're going to be changing the foreground, which is what it did give us. And we want the foreground to actually be orange, because most of the time when you are using a link, it will be in the sense of quotation marks, which is what is the color of things in the quotation marks. And then last but not least, we want to remove the underline underneath the actual link text. So let's go ahead and type text area, text view, and then link text underline. So we hit all three bases there and then put false. So now if we start this up and we try typing in a link, load string, whatever, and then we type in just for the sake of showing you guys, as you can see, the actual inner text here is no longer blue and underlined. Even if I put it outside, it is just going to be nice and orange, so that it fits nice and well with your editor, so it doesn't look bad. So there you go. So for the main part, we're pretty much done for the actual coding of this video, just because we're going to be going into designing now. And coding was not really something I even had planned for this video. So yeah, we're going to go into the basics of actually designing the entire thing here. So let's go ahead and do that. So mainly what you can do is you can pretty much design it however you want, as I said before. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a few XAML things, which I don't like doing this because it is just more coding, and you don't really want to be doing that when you're designing, obviously, for most of us out there that aren't programmers and we're just UI designers or whatever. But I'm going to go ahead and get wherever that went. There it is. We're going to dock it to this side so we can see it a little bit better. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and make our text editor round. So the way I actually did this before was I used a property called corner radius that I did find in a button. Alright, so basically what you want to do to add like a roundness to your script editor here is I'll provide it in the description, but you just want to paste in this code right here, and this should add a border. Now the reason that this is erroring is because at the end of your Avalon editor here, if you just scroll over to the end right here, you'll see this little slash. Just get rid of the slash, and then it should round like normal. As you can see, it is rounded. When I do highlight it, it isn't rounded when I highlight it, but as you can see, there is a round little edge there. You can even make this a little more round, which I think I'm going to do. So yeah, as you can see, now it is definitively round, and you can tell that it is round. So before we get out of this XML thing, we're going to go ahead and add a button that will be round here. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm also going to give you guys this script in the description because I'm not an HTML coder, but I do have HTML that I did put into my what's called other program over here that I am referencing. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of the Avalon editor here and just paste it underneath that. So once I paste that in, I do have this nice looking little execute button. I did design the button itself, but the actual corner radius property and all that I needed to do a little research for that, but we did figure it out in the end here, and I will have all of this provided for you guys to be able to just easily copy and paste this just like I did. And yeah, so let's do a few things. We can actually honestly close the little XML editor here, and we don't really have to worry about that for the rest of this video. So now we're done completely with all types of scripting for this video, and we could just get to the fun part, which is actually just designing your exploit. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have our execute button here, and honestly it looks like it might just already work the way that I have it, but I'm gonna make that a little darker. And then the outside I think is actually okay. I mean, yeah, that should be fine. So as you can see, we have a button here, and we can pretty much do whatever you want with it, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it just, I don't know where I put it actually. I'm thinking about a top because I like the top, but here we'll go ahead and put it underneath. Just like that, and I think that looks good. I think that yeah, I don't think that looks too bad. So we'll go ahead and keep that as it looks right there. Obviously it doesn't look like anything crazy yet, but honestly this is a pretty simple tutorial and it isn't anything crazy. But if you really want to make it look like unique and your own, don't follow this tutorial step for step, but just make sure that you do follow these important parts, like making buttons rounded and making your Avalon editor rounded, because those things aren't things you can just easily look up. They do require a little bit of thinking. So yeah, these are things that pretty much done the thinking for you, and you can go ahead and add these to your own little executor. So I want to add this just to make it look a little bit better. So the way that we're going to add this top bar is we're going to head and just click on the rectangle background, Control C, Control V. Now we have that rectangle again. Just gonna make it nice and small. Then we're going to move it up here so that it sits flush with the actual edge of that. And I think that's maybe a little too big, so we'll move it just right about there. Maybe that's even too big. Yeah, that looks fine. So that looks good. Personally, I like that. We're going to remove this stroke from it, and then we'll add it back in just a minute. But for now, we're not too worried about what that stroke actually does. We're going to Control Z, Control V once again, and we're going to go ahead and give this one the stroke. We'll put this stroke as this part right here. Actually, wait, let's try and get it exactly on that edge right down there, so that we can kind of copy it perfectly. That looks fine. So now with that rectangle that you made earlier, you want to go ahead and make the radius 0, 0, and then actually I think you want to add the stroke to this one. So let's go ahead and get that right down there, just like that. So as you can see, there isn't a round at the top, but what we do is we just drag that down towards the middle a little bit, and then the actual rounded one over at the top should work good. We're going to go down to appearance in here though, and then I think where the stroke is, we can actually change it specifically. If we're not able to, we can kind of just remove it altogether. And I think the outer stroke, I think we should be able to get that outer stroke, but just for now, since I'm not really seeing it, we're just gonna go ahead and see what it looks like if we remove it, as well as remove it from here too. And let's go ahead and see how that looks. Right, these are saying, hold on, I actually got to change the color. Let me do that. So let me change it to the color of the script, and as you can see, it looks like that little half circle kind of thing. And yeah, honestly, I think that doesn't look too bad. I think I could have definitely done a better job with it, but I do think that it looks pretty clean, pretty nice, pretty modern. So now you're probably wondering, how are we going to even close this exploit or just work with it in general if there isn't any X or minus? So really easy to do. You just copy and paste one of your buttons, you bring it up here and just make it an X. So you can just DIY X button. I want to make this a perfect square, and yeah, that's how we'll do it. So we're just gonna put it like, I want it to be like right there is actually perfect. Now we're gonna copy and paste that and put it like right there, and then make this one a minimize button, just like that. So as you can see, there is an minimize and an X button now, and obviously they don't work, but in the next video I'll make sure I teach you all how to script every single one of these buttons. And yeah, as you can see so far, it's coming together pretty well. So now we're gonna go ahead and add a list. This will be for the scripts. Lack of word, I really just forget what to call this altogether. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and make the border of this, I think we won't have a border here. The foreground will be white, and then the background will be the same as this. If there's a corner radius, we can do it, but if there isn't, we're gonna have to go back in XML. So just for the sake of time and the fact that this video is already super long, I'm just gonna go ahead and say that this can be like this, but you can easily change it to this if you wanted to go back into XML. So yeah, the reason that I put these over here like this and then move this over earlier was just so that it looked a little nicer with how the script hub would play into things. You can honestly put the inject button like up here, but it honestly, I don't know, I think it just looks better as like a full buttons down here. And honestly, I want to say that you're done with designing. So that's basically just a crash course in designing an exploit. And in the next video, I will make sure that I teach you guys how to script every one of these buttons and make your exploit completely fully work by that episode. But then after that, I'll make sure I teach you how to make the script list work and how to make the script hub work. So pretty much this is what we'll be doing for the menu, and honestly I think it looks okay so far. But one last thing, just like a little extra touch just to make it look just that much better, we're going to add a label with the name of our cheat right up here. So let's go ahead, and since mine is called Cheat Sense, I'm gonna do a little lowercase theme like that, then click off of it, make the foreground white so you can see it, and I think I'm gonna change the text as well. So let me go to text and change it to let's see, I think it's Sego. Yeah, Sego semi-light, and then we're just going to make that like 18. I think that looks pretty okay, and it should honestly be simple like this, just white regular text as the little like text here. I don't think it has to be anything special, and I honestly think that that looks pretty clean. So yeah, that'll be it for this video. In the next video, I'm gonna show you guys how to make everything work, like I've said quite a lot now. Don't know why I keep repeating that, but I want to just make that known that next video you will actually have a fully working exploit. And so far that was just how to make the menu so that it actually looked really nice. And yeah, so this is how you make a simple, nice looking menu that's draggable and has nice looking syntax and is rounded in different areas. So honestly, it would help a lot if you subscribe to this channel. This isn't my main channel. On my main channel, I post more like tame stuff, like not exploiting, like just regular Roblox gameplay. You don't have to subscribe to that because that's not my target audience for that channel. But for this channel, I specifically want you guys to learn how to make this exploit and how to make it work. And just overall, I haven't seen that many tutorials that teach you how to make like a Roblox API cheat, especially not how to design it. So I want to make sure that, you know, this series does do well. So if you could drop a sub and, you know, comment, join the Discord. That's where all of the scripts will be, in their links and stuff. And yeah, once you join that, you just go to the links channel and you can chat, you know, share scripts with other people. There's also a cheat in there called wax hacks. That one is fully functional already, so if you don't feel like making this whole cheat right here, then you can go ahead and just use that one. But in the links channel, there is link vertises for every single part. I'll just have like a part 1 link vertise for the references, and then I'll have it for the actual code that you will need. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this did help you. If you do have any issues, just DM me on Discord after joining the Discord. I'll be the owner. Literally just hit me up if you have any issues with it. There is also a Kato API helper in there too, so if you're having any issues with Kato for future videos, you can also DM him, or just join the Kato Discord server, which I'll also have linked in the description for help like that. But yeah, that's just a general outro. I'll see you guys in the next part.
Every day.